Hi, welcome. Thank you for joining us for Module 10, Unleashing Google Data Power, exploring Google Suite for data mapping. In this module, we will do a deep dive, as much as one can do in an hour, on Google Maps and Google Earth, and understanding Google Forms and how they all play together. Again, our objectives are to learn the basics of Google Maps and Google Earth, to create a map in Google Maps and Earth using the Toxics Release Inventory spreadsheet that we pulled and should be sitting in your class file from the previous module. 3, adding additional data from existing layers held in Google Earth. And 4, understanding Google Forms and Sheets and how they can help with mapping. In this module, we are going to focus on Google Earth Online, but Google Earth Pro can always be downloaded for free and operated off of your desktop, and offers far more products, layers, than the online version does. Keywords that you need to take home today: Google Earth, Google Maps, data sets, that should be one you're pretty familiar with at this point, KMZ files, Google Forms, Google Sheets, and Google Earth layers. All right, exploring data with Google Earth and Google Maps. So the Google Suite offers free, powerful tools like Google Earth and Google Maps for data visualization and management. Google revolutionized the ways we are able to see the Earth and those living on it. Depending on your age, if you were around 15, 20 years ago when Google Earth first really kind of busted on the scene with its ability to visualize through satellite images anywhere in the world, it started a storm of everybody wanting to look at any location, whether it be the Taj Mahal or catacombs in Europe, or the insides of the Grand Canyon. Now, as time has gone on, those pictures have gotten a whole lot better than they used to be, but even at the very beginning, it was fascinating. The Google Suite is a free suite of tools that work seamlessly together, making it easy to share data from one program to another in real time. So if you need an easy way to map for free that is accessible and works with other programs, this is a great choice for you. And then recent addition of Google Gemini brings AI into the Google mix. So everybody now has their current version of AI, and Google now has Gemini, and Gemini is being incorporated into the different types of programs that Google has. All right, the world of Google Maps. As our ability to collect and store data increases, our ability to use that data for trends increases as well. Google Maps and navigational programs in general are collecting massive data from their users. In exchange, the users can navigate roadways effectively worldwide in real time. So let's dig into a little bit about the tech behind Google Maps.
If you need to get somewhere, let's say a new building, put it into Maps and Google gives you a route in seconds. But behind that seemingly simple answer is a complex system of data collected from users, satellites, cars, even camels. Today, more than 1 billion people use Google Maps every month. And in 17 years, it's evolved from a desktop application to a massive mobile platform that continuously updates information about a location.
We have over 150 million people around the world that are contributing information with 50 million updates a day coming from the community, from the public sector. So think of the map as being alive.
But the amount of data it collects has also attracted criticism from privacy experts. Here's how, in Google's quest to remap the world, it had to revolutionize the technology we use to see it. This is the tech behind Google Maps.
You can search for a place, like an address, an intersection, almost anything.
When it comes to digital mapping, Google wasn't the first on the scene, or even the second. But when Maps launched in the mid-2000s, it had technology many people had never seen before.
I remember the day that Google Maps launched with satellite imagery in the browser. Everybody just went and looked at their own house.
Craig is a professor in the Department of Geography at Hofstra University who studies data-driven geotechnology.
No one had ever seen their own house in satellite imagery, much less in color satellite imagery before. This was a new view on the world.
Map's success was partly due to acquisitions it made early on, like Where2 Technologies and Keyhole, that made mapping more accessible to consumers.
By buying Keyhole, they got the software that it took to have a easy, ready-to-use satellite imagery viewer on a global scale, where Where2 Technologies provided them a much better user interface than was available elsewhere. And by combining those with just the sheer amount of capital at Google, allowed them to spend in ways and develop those further that you didn't see before.
Maps expanded its tech quickly, opening it up to developers, integrating Street View, and launching Android and iOS apps early on. But how exactly did all of this come together to get you from point A to point B? Christopher Phillips, the current head of Google's Geo division, gave us an inside look on the Google campus.
The foundational piece was to have a real-world model, the digital truth of what's going on in the real world, including where streets are.
Let's take a look at a real route in San Francisco that Chris walked us through.
Let's say I'm in the San Francisco Ferry Building, the farmer's market, and I need to get to San Francisco International Airport.
To get that real-world model Chris was talking about, Google starts with satellite and aerial imagery to create an accurate map. This is layered together with data from Street View. To do this, they use a process called photogrammetry. Using this and GPS data, they can pinpoint the right coordinates for the image. If we take a quick detour off our route to France, you can see what the layering process looks like using the Arc de Triomphe.
Think of it as a big jigsaw puzzle where we can put these images together and we understand the distance between images and where they sit with the actual location, the GPS location.
Google keeps a range of the cameras that have been used over time to capture imagery at the Street View garage on its campus in California.
It all started with a 500-pound camera that was forklift onto a van.
You may have seen a Street View car at some point with a 360-degree camera on top. Some versions are equipped with LiDAR sensors, which measure the distance from the camera to objects around it. They're also equipped with GPS to get an accurate location for exactly where the camera is positioned. But to reach more remote places, they've adapted cameras to fit the terrain. Google has put cameras on backpacks to get to places that cars can't go. They've also used transportation like bikes and snowmobiles. In some rarer cases, Google has gotten images from camels, divers, and even astronauts. Their newest camera can be detached from cars to be carried around.
We graduate to our most recent, which is a 15-pound, very lightweight, and that can be powered off of a phone versus a large computing unit that's in the car.
This imagery isn't just for looking at. It actually helps keep their maps up to date by detecting changes since the last time images were taken.
We are not just capturing what a place looks like, but we can detect that a business might have changed. We can detect new signs. There's now a stop sign here or a traffic light here. So understanding new physical attributes of the real world is what we've been able to derive.
Once they have all the information they need to figure out what the map looks like, Google layers on info about traffic, routes, and businesses. To do this, they get data from local municipalities, public bus and train schedules, and businesses themselves. This is footage from 2013 of the software Google still uses to edit maps. A combination of machine learning and map operators edit the public data, like road networks, to match exactly what you see on the layered imagery. Since 2013, Google says they've been able to automate most of this process. So for Chris's route from San Francisco's Ferry Building to the airport,
Right now, I can see that it's going to take 21 minutes.
In order to predict how long it takes to get somewhere or how busy a place is, Google relies on reviews, contributed information, and anonymized location data, and uses algorithms to comb through historical traffic patterns. It looks at current trends based on your anonymous location, aggregated with millions of other users.
So we can overlay the trend with the current activity to then create a prediction.
The company also uses your approximate location and its mapping tools to target ads and advertise businesses, which is one of the ways the platform makes money.
We have the ability for businesses to actually promote themselves on the map. So whether you're searching for a place to go, and if it's relevant to the people who are in that area, we can show that as one of the results.
So far, Google has mapped more than 250 countries and territories. But as it's added more data and ingrained itself in our lives and culture, users and regulators have pushed back and demanded guardrails.
Privacy is a big issue with any kind of geographic technology, and Google Maps is only so much more so. Because Google Maps is down to an individual street address, down to individual people when we connect it to things like your Gmail account or your wallet or your Wi-Fi network.
Google has been criticized and in some cases taken to court for things like the amount of data it collects, Street View images showing private property, and grabbing data from unsecured Wi-Fi networks with Street View cars. Google says the data from you that it uses to inform traffic and busyness is anonymized.
We use a technology treatment called differential privacy. Differential privacy allows us to separate you and your activity from what we aggregate from millions of people as signals to derive insights around like busyness and how long the walk or the drive may take.
But some data that is used to tailor your personal map, like noting that you've been to a location before, isn't. They say that that data is not sold or shared with third parties. Google also says that it gives users privacy controls like toggling location history on or off, searching in incognito mode, and auto-deleting location data.
We're always improving how we manage the information we capture to protect people's privacy and make sure that we only have the critical amount of data to help power the most useful products.
With its advances in technology, its advertising priorities, and even its criticism, Google Maps has helped change the way we navigate the world.
The biggest improvement that Google Maps has made is making geographic information much more accessible to a very large number of people. The biggest downside, there's something paying much closer attention to the intricacies of every movement you make when you carry your phone.
Google says the future of Maps aims to be more comprehensive and immersive.
We're taking technology where we can combine and fuse together satellite imagery, aerial imagery, street view imagery, user contribution to create a photorealistic view of what it might feel like to check out a park. What's the vibe of it? What's the vibe of it on a different day?
Immersive View is Google's next step in using their database of information and imagery to map the world.
All right, that was a pretty extensive look at Google Maps and the background behind Google Maps. I think that was probably, or I hope that was hopeful in a couple of different ways. You saw some really good examples of layering in there as they talked about taking different types of data sets and merging them into one to help us understand these holistic pictures. They talked about the different locations of where they're collecting that data. So you have everything from the individual user walking around with Google Maps on their phone to the satellites to their cars that they're running around all over the place, or backpacks, may if that's what it is. And you're getting a really good idea of, well, for one, all of that is going into different spreadsheets that is then being converted back into data that you're then able to access. But there's a tremendous amount of formulas going on behind the scenes to help you get from point A to point B in the most expeditious way possible. So I hope that was a helpful look at how Google is operating its maps. Apple Maps is much the same, but on a much more simplistic level. So there we go. That was a pretty deep introduction to Google Maps. The other thing I'll say before we move on is there were a number of things talked about in that video that you have control over, like how they're able to track you, where they provide that information back out, And if you're interested in toggling or changing some of that, go into your settings in your phone, in your computer, wherever you might be using Google Maps, and turn that stuff on or off. All right, Google Earth Maps, data visualization powerhouse. So experience the transformative capabilities of Google Earth and Maps in visualizing data, diving into interactive maps and 3D views to enhance data analysis and interpretation. So that's really at the heart of Google Earth, is trying to be able to understand, visualize, and interact with that information. Here is a brief video introduction about Google Earth and its dynamic data visualization. So we're going to walk through a very brief overview of how to create a project in Google Earth according to Google, and then we will try and do it on our own in the next slide. And throughout this module, we'll be building a project. So now might be a good time to pull up Google Earth on your own, on your computer, and begin to follow along, take some notes so that you are able to follow these steps here in a few minutes.
In this video, we're going to talk about how to create your first story or map in Google Earth. We'll show you how to save places, photos, and information all in one project, so you can create a map to preserve your memories or tell a story about a journey. See where your imagination takes you. To start creating, click on Projects. Click New Project. Click the pencil icon to give your project a title and description. You'll notice that your edits are automatically saved as you work. You can start by searching for a place you'd like to add. When you've found a place you like, click the Add to Project button. Save that place to your project. You'll see the place appear in the list of features in your project. Let's add one more place. In addition to searching for places by name, you can drop a place mark directly on the globe with the Creation toolbar. Select the Add Place Mark button and click on the globe to add the place mark. Give your place a name, and this time, let's click Edit to add more information. Here in the Property Editor, you can add rich information to your places, such as videos and images, text, styled place marks, and more. You can even add an amazing 3D view to your place by tilting the map and clicking Capture this view. You can continue adding places to your project, including lines, shapes, and street view. You can share your project with a friend by clicking the Share Project button. To see your finished project, click Present. Use the Previous and Next buttons in the table of contents to journey through your project. Congratulations! Now you're ready to create your first project in Google Earth.
All right, so let's spend some time and make a tour. An intern has collected a series of important historical sites in Atlanta, and you would like to make those an online tour of those locations. You can, even beyond this tutorial, you could go in, you could put a QR code and make it so that this is something that people could walk through in the general public. So let's walk through the steps of building our new project, formatting our pop-ups, and setting our views, and how to share what we've made with others. Okay, let's make a quick tour through Google Earth. First thing we want to do is create a Drive project. Now, if I have already taken a CSV or a spreadsheet and converted it over to a KML file, or if I have a KML file, I can click here, pull it in from my computer, and it'll auto-populate. TRI data class, one we've used previously, fits into that category. We're going to create this from scratch. So we're going to click Create Project, This is historic sites in Atlanta. Save it. Now, the easiest way to do this, so I have them saved over here, is actually just to click, come back, and put it right in here. And lucky enough, it finds my location. I can save it to my project. And here is where I can start having a little bit of fun. So say I want to change it to blue. I can do that very easily. Change it to an extra large or a tiny little icon if I would like. I can also change the way that I view this location. So I actually want to go into 3D mode. I'm going to go all the way around here. Come in. I like this view. And so I actually wanted to save this view. I'm going to click edit. Now that I have my view, captured this view. Boom. All right, so now I got that one done. I want to go on to my next. So let's do birthplace. There we go. Again, save to our project, but I want to change my view. Let's see if I can come in here, shift click, shift it around. Find the view I'd like. Scroll down, capture this view. So now when we do our fly-throughs, we'll be sure to capture it. It'll actually fly into the 3D mode. All right, so let's add one more location. Let's do National Center for Human and Civil Rights. Now, say I want to add my own information here. I can either save this to the project and it will auto-populate all of these wonderful pictures and information, or I can come up here to add my own place mark. And if I click there, there's my place mark. Add the place mark, save it to a project. I can then go in, name it whatever I would like, museum. Again, I can change my labels. I can change the colors if I want. I can also capture the different views if I would like. So I can go in here, change just to make it match. Give me the same 3D view. Go ahead and capture that view. All right, so now we have 3 locations here. If we are interested in seeing what they would be like with a fly-through, there we go. There's our first one. There's our second. And there's our third. And we can adjust how quickly each one of these slides through very easily. But you can see it can make a pretty good tour. Now, I could also, if I am interested, add other information on top of it. Let's go back to our list now. On our historic sites, I can either export it also as a KML file. So if I want to share it with somebody offline, I can do that. Or I can click right here because I have this pulled up. If I click share, it'll pull up this specific file. I can add people. I could do it to calendars. I can add it all over the place, copy the link just make sure to change this depending on what your criteria is. So there you go. There's a quick fly through on how to use the tour function of Google Earth. All right. So when you are using Google Earth, there's a couple of different ways you can do it. The fly through function, making a tour, being able to explore the 3D components of the globe is really kind of, I think, the key feature right now in today's age. Before ArcGIS was readily available and became kind of the standard industry, the industry standard, a lot of information was input into Google Earth to help kind of tell the mapping story. So in this next film, what we're going to do is take that toxics release inventory information that we downloaded last time, and we're going to incorporate that into Google Earth. Now, in order to do that, we have to kind of go through Google Maps to get to Google Earth. This is a workaround, a simple way to take a CSV and convert it into a Google Earth file. It is well worth keeping in mind, though, that as you convert and bring a map into Google Maps, take the time that you want to formulate it to look the way that you want. In Google Maps has the information that you want in it, and then when you convert it over to Google Earth, that is a frozen layer that you're no longer able to edit. So in order to edit it, you would have to go back to Google Maps. So, but after this quick tutorial, I hope you will give this a try, uploading your TRI data set, formatting it correctly, changing your icons, and then adapting the data pop-up boxes. Okay, when working with Google Earth, getting a spreadsheet or a CSV into Google Earth can be a little bit difficult. So I'm going to show you a quick workaround that I use. So this file that's open right now is our class files that we've been collecting throughout the series. And this is our TRI details ATL. So this is a CSV. It could also be an Excel spreadsheet. So what I'm going to do is go over to Google Maps, and at the bottom I click Maps, create a new map right here. That's fine. And what I want to do is import. Now, because I have already downloaded from Google Drive, I can just click right here and drag and drop. So that is our TRI data. And now, decide to open it. Now, what I need to do is match my latitude and longitude pair. So all I do is go down, make sure latitude and longitude are clicked, go continue. Pick a column to use as the title. So I want to use, in this instance, actually, I think I want to use the chemical, not necessarily the facility name. Finish. And now it has populated my points. If I want to go in and change this, so groups placed by, so say I want to change the color based on the type of chemical, I can click, look at that, automatically it does it. I can change the labels. So maybe I want the facility name to show up automatically, or maybe I want the chemical. Maybe I want actually the releases, total of pounds, right? So all of that now pops up in my map right here. When I am done formulating that layer, I can make it look like whatever I would like. Say I want to change my base map because I think this one is difficult to see. Make it more difficult, go to satellite. I could go to night view. So I can really kind of play with what I want to look at, or the background format. When I have decided that that is what I want to do, I'm going to name this TRI data class. I'm going to save it. And now I have that layer is saved, and I can transition over to Google Maps and very easily bring it in. All right, to take my layer and convert it over or to pull it up in Google Earth is pretty simple. Just click on these 3 buttons on the right side and click in Google Earth. And it will pull that layer over already formulated, and now I can see my data here in Google Earth. And now in the next steps, we'll learn how to play with this a little bit. Okay, so before we introduce layers, now is your turn to pull up Google Maps and take some time to formulate your CSV from your toxics release inventory. And once you are happy with it, then convert it over and send it to Google Earth. The other thing I would encourage you to do, if you're interested, we did not have a stop and try challenge with the tour, but maybe throwing a couple of different addresses or locations. Maybe you're interested in a walkability tour, for example, of your community. You could do all of that through Street View in the different locations, but play around with that component as well. So we will see you in just a little bit. Just pause this program and come back to us when you're ready. All right. The next step is introducing layers. So Google Earth layers are a little bit different. They are the same as they are different data sets, but they operate slightly differently. It's a lot more difficult to incorporate data into Google, so you kind of have a couple to select from, and this is a space where going, if you really want to play with the layers within Google Earth, you probably want to just download Google Earth Pro on your desktop. That's the best way to access these. So Google Earth is a giant information board of your neighborhood. It has different options that you can turn on and off, like picture layers, to see things in a whole different way. One of the coolest things, and the thing that I still go back to Google Earth over everything else time and time again, is the seeing how things change. So there is a really great set of data that is usually goes back to about the early 80s, mid 80s of satellite pictures that you can look at to see how your location has changed over time. It is a fantastic playback loop that can really give you a great picture of how things have changed. Again, if you want to dig into and actually go and click through the different time periods rather than creating the loop, downloading Google Earth Pro is your way to go. Another great layer for Google Earth is to get the lay of the land. Use these valleys, hills, and other ground features to understand the area's shape. So this could be great for firefighters or anyone curious about accessibility, or people that are curious about the way water would flow down a hill. Anything along those lines. The topography is pretty expansive. And then Google Earth has done a great job of buildings in 3D. So turning on the 3D buildings, you now can immerse yourself within a community and really get a realistic view of how crowded or spread out your neighborhood is. Google Earth satellites and 3D views offer an immersive way to view locations worldwide. So if you are interested in, the world's your oyster. Go explore some I don't know, a nature preserve in Africa, and then go to visit the pyramids. You can walk around the pyramids, for example. Time lapse. So time lapse is this opportunity to look 40 years back in one seamless loop. You can also go through the timeline at your own pace if researching changes over a specific time period. So this is something that we use a lot in my line of work, specifically on neighborhoods or communities, to understand the impact over time of different choices. A great example of this might be redlining, using this map to see what the is not quite as far back as you might want, but looking at what happens to a community once one industry comes in and how quickly it gets surrounded or doesn't, might be a great example of why you'd want that time lapse. All right, now Google Earth has a series of layers built in. It's a little bit different than layers as we'll get to know them through ArcGIS. But if you look on the bottom left here, you can click open this layers button, and there are a series of different things you can turn on and off. And we'll kind of work through these over the next couple of minutes. As you can see, go all the way down. If I am interested in landmarks, for example, I can click on, zoom in a little bit so we might actually be able to see some of these places. There we go. So we're at the Georgia Tech campus, actually, currently in Atlanta, Georgia. If I turn everything on, you can see lots of different things pop up. Each one of these is has data associated with it if you click on. So this one's giving us a shape file. There are other layers as well. I can go to completely clean, or I can do custom and turn them on and off as I would like. Now, there are a couple of others. This is specifically on Google Earth Online. This is not the same as having it located on our computer, which we'll switch over to in just a second and show you how that works. But say I'm really interested in just this little next to the painted duck. I'm curious, what does it look like since 1984? So I can actually click on here and turn time lapse on, and it will start working through the images that it has. Say I want to slow that down just a little bit. Images that it has of that location. Now this isn't a fantastic one because it's not really that well in focus. Let's see if we back out a little bit. There we go. So now it is just going through a loop. If you look up here in the top right, it's showing you which years, and you can really kind of see how the growth has shifted in this location. A significant amount of development. I can click here to exit that time lapse. It'll go back to today. And I can scroll down here. There are also a series of photos. If I want to click on, zoom in, it'll show you. There we go. Lots of photos that users have built in themselves. I'm interested in those. And then if I click this on, I can actually go down, and I will show you briefly how you could go into these locations and click on this top right, or excuse me, bottom right, and go into 3D mode. And now 3D mode will allow you to experience and travel through your community in a very different way. So let's see, that's the Georgia Tech baseball field. If you press Shift and your mouse button, you can move up and down and get different views. I'm rotating now with my hand on the shift. If I go shift and click my button back to the left or the right, it will turn the direction. So again, really giving me a way to experience my community in a pretty intense way. So say you were interested in knowing the walking route that you might take from one place to the other. This might give you a really good picture all the way through of what that might look like. Back out. If I click here on the bottom right, I can go back to 2D. If I click this little person right here, it will take me all the way down to street view. Let's see. Oh, there we go. There we go. Sorry. And now I can actually travel right down Highway 75 if I wanted to, or any other roads throughout the community. All right. Just like I said before we started this video, now is your opportunity to spend a few minutes thinking about the data you've collected thus far in your class file. We started pretty early on sticking random files into this class file. Now is your opportunity to begin to think of how you might put that information together. All right, now take some time, input a few using the KML file, turn on a few of the layers, and share with a friend. You might do a walkthrough. Have fun. Explore changing the views, playing with Street View and 3D. All right, let's dig into Google Forms. Google Forms allows you to collect data from multiple different locations, multiple different people seamlessly. It is a pretty easy to navigate system, so let's walk through it a little bit. So it can really help you streamline your data collection, especially for maps. It's easy to build. You can drag and drop interface, lets you create surveys with various question types, multiple choice, location data in minutes. Collaboration and sharing. You can work with others and share surveys via email, link, or embed them in websites. Your data is easy to work with. Your responses go straight into a Google Sheet, which eliminates manual entry, which will definitely boost efficiency. Filling out paper forms relies on somebody then inputting that data into a spreadsheet. This does it instantly. And it's mapping ready. So location data from surveys integrated with the sheets make for perfect for creating informative maps. So Google Maps goes beyond it. You can use it for surveys, polls, registrations, all kinds of things. So when you are setting up a Google form, so let's walk through what that might look like. So case study problem. We have a new battery facility coming into an already disadvantaged community in Atlanta, and very little public notice has been given. You want to collect landowner information for a follow-up to discuss community benefits agreements. So you're going to go to a community meeting or go knock door to door and ask people to provide information back to you so that you can use that to communicate to them about their rights and to help them organize around a community benefits agreement. So let's walk through what making that form would look like. All right. So as we walk through that, we're going to kind of dig into the different question types the different forms, how you can customize them, how you can enhance them, how you can utilize the features to make your surveys something that is usable and also pleasing to the eye.
Okay, we're gonna make a quick Google form. I'm gonna open this one, so I've already got it started. It's just a regular untitled form. So in this instance, we want to create a survey for door-to-door or speaking to community members that have come out that are worried about a new battery facility. So very quickly, we'll run through how to put this together. We've got our first box here, our name, short answer, add another box. Really, to formulate properly, you want to do first name and then last name in two different columns. It just makes it easier when you go to formulate, if you're ever doing mail merge or other ways to shift and adapt this data. It's really helpful to have the last name and the first name separate. We can add in address. Again, this is another instance where you want to put the address and then the zip code probably separately. So this would just be your street address. You don't have to put the city and the state if you're adding the zip code. You might want their phone number, so you can answer that. Maybe we want to add a multiple choice question. Are you concerned about the new facility? Well, we can add option 1 to be yes, add option no, and add other if somebody else wants to add a new thing besides yes or no. We could also add in a file upload if we want them to be able to upload pictures. We could do a checkbox if we were interested in, are you a landowner, concerned citizen, supporter of the facility. So with the checkbox, and then you can add the add other. People can click multiple checkboxes. So you could be a landowner and a concerned citizen, or you could be a landowner and a supporter of the facility. Same thing we could do with a multiple choice grid, checkbox grid. There's lots of different choices here. You could do a drop-down box if you want them to choose. You could even do paragraph form if you were really interested. And then I might be interested at the very end in who collected this data. Again, that's just going to be a short answer. And there we go. All right, so I have a very simple titled door-to-door survey. That's fine as the name. Now, if I want to change the theme, say I like red instead of purple or blue, I can change very easily here the theme. I can change the fonts of the different headers. Let me go to the header so you can see how it's changing out. I could even go to more fonts if I wanted to. Let's see what happens. There you go. Same with the questions. If I want to change the questions to a different type of font, I could do that here. I could also change my headers. So say I'm sending this out to different people and I am interested in what they, how they view this form. You'll see that'll formulate and add to the header there. That's quite an interesting image. And I can also now preview it. So this is what it will look like when it goes out for people to fill out. They can submit it or they can clear their form. And then if I want to send it, say I want to share it with somebody, I can send either here through email. Here's a way to make a link. I can make a bit.ly link or a shorter form just by clicking this button. This is how I embed it. If I want to embed it into a website, say I have a page on my website that I want to put a form, this is a very simple way to do that. I can also share it through multiple social medias. If I want to collect emails, then I can turn it on here, verified or responder input. So verified means they have a Google account and Google can tell that. Responder input means it requires that they put in an email address. I'm going to do not collect for now. Send via here. The other thing I like to do is include the form in an email. So you can send it out to whomever you like. You can actually add editors. This will actually, as you send the form, will ask people to fill it out. If you add an editor, that will allow them to edit the form, not necessarily just fill it out. And then you send it on, and there you go. You have completed a simple form in Google Forms. It will create this spreadsheet. And as you fill out your location, it will actually go in and it will fill out this spreadsheet. Every time somebody puts in a form, it will fill it out here. So this will stay the most up to date. So there you go, a simple form.
All right. Once you have populated a form, you have gotten multiple users to use it, then you can easily populate a map layer from the results. You must have captured some location data in the form for the mapping to be possible. So making sure that you have lat long, or the easiest is probably the address and the zip code. In the next video, we'll map out the historic location survey that were collected in Augusta, Georgia as part of a oral history project to identify the missing historic Black locations in Augusta that are disappearing actually by the day. Data can be connected in real time. So this is a form that exists currently, and if somebody enters in a new location on the map, the next time that map is pulled up, that location is automatically generated in the map. The other thing that you can do easily that we'll go through while we're watching this video is how to share that Google form and your map. So we'll explore what sharing the form and what sharing the results of the mapping might look like.
Okay, we're going to make a quick map out of a Google Sheet. So here is a Google Sheet that we have had called Important Sites of Augusta. It lists the historic sites. There are 69 responses in here. You can see it's just a very simple sheet, asks a little bit about the location, if there's background information and a picture downloaded from the internet, and it asks for street numbers and zip code. So that is all the information that it needs to be able to map it out. You can see we have 69 responses, so that's great. We should be able to map out quite a bit. And it'll actually give us some good information. So over 50% of the sites that we have on this map are still in location and revitalized versus 5% that are still around, and 7% that are still in ruins. So let's go ahead and take this information and we will convert it over into a Google map. So all we need to do is open Google Maps. If we click on saved, we can do maps, open my maps, that is, and then you're going to create a new map. All right, you're going to import from Google Drive. There's our February 5th. I just went to recent since we just had it open. February 5th, important sites, insert. And now if you look here, it's going to ask for your position of your place marks, right? So this is where you have your addresses. You're going to click zip code and street number. continue. This is where if you had lat, long. Now this is for the title of the place marks or the name. So name of location, finish. And you can see right here, this is this means that the GPS location is off and this needs to be fixed in our spreadsheet, right? So if it's in North Dakota, that is definitely not Augusta. But you can see, I can zoom in here. And now I can see this map. And if I click on these different locations here, we've got timestamp, links to the background, take us into Black Gulf and Augusta resides at the patch, a cool old article. Some of these have pictures located in them. There we go. There we go, Sibley Mill. So that is a very simple way to update your map. And as long as you have the two connected, so this is every time a new site gets put into this important sites and I pull up the map, this map will be updated. I can also change the style again. So if I want to change the style depending on if the site is still standing, there we go. So now all of a sudden it has change, so I can see the red is the ones that are still around. These guys are the ones that are in ruins. So there you go. That is a quick way to take your Google form and turn it into a Google map. Last thing I'll show you is if you want to take that into Google Earth, you click right there and boom. Now your information is located in Google Earth, is trying to take us back to that other spot that we had earlier. All right, there you go.
All right, we've talked a decent amount about the power of integration. So Google Suite, again, the thing that makes Google a really easy, good thing to use is that it is free and everything kind of works together. So creating the survey in Google Forms automatically sends it to Google Sheets for analysis, charts, and graphs. And you then can easily, just with a few clicks of a button, turn that into a Google map that you can then share, or you can turn it into a data set that you want to explore in Google Earth. Forms build the surveys and collect the data. Sheets analyze the data with charts and formulas and locate it in a way that is usable for other formats. You can use Google Docs to write reports based on your findings, and all of the information between the different programs is easily captured and brought into another. So you could pull in a form into a Google Doc or analyze the data, or even include a map in a Google Doc relatively easily. All right, so the main things that I'm hoping you're taking away from this is that the Google Suite offers a series of tools that can help get you where you need to be without a huge upfront cost. If you are worried about cost, this is a way you can get working tomorrow with relative ease. Remember, YouTube is your friend. You can figure out a whole lot with YouTube. The Google Suite is free and works seamlessly together. Exploring your community is easy with Google Earth. You can use time-lapse and layers and import data to see the area you're curious about in new ways. Rather than watching your favorite TV show, maybe go into the 3D portions of Google Earth and play around for a little bit later this evening. All Google products can be shared and edited in real time by numerous contributors. So that's nice. If you have a group that you want to work on a document, you can even, we didn't talk about this in Forms, but you can actually set a series of flow approvals in a chart. So if say you have a membership to an organization, you run a group that is a membership-based organization, and you create the membership form online, and when it comes in, it needs to go to the vice president, who then needs to send it to the board and the president for approval before the membership. You can actually set all of those triggers up, tell it who it needs to send the email to, that they need to approve it before it is allowed to go forward. So you can really kind of automate a lot of that process. You can also set different access levels to files depending on the collaborator or the viewer's needs. All right, for your quiz, number 1, which of the following statements is true about Google Earth and Google Maps? A, Google Earth provides real-time traffic information while Google Maps offers historical imagery. B, Google Maps is a computer program for 3D visualization of Earth, and Google Earth offers a web-based geographic information service. C, both Google Earth and Google Maps allows uploading custom databases in KMZ format. D, Google Earth is better suited for finding existing data sets, while Google Maps excels at data collection with tools like Google Forms. 2. When creating a Google form for data collection relevant to the mapping project, which question type would be most useful to gather location information? A, multiple choice. B, short answer. C, checkbox. D, location/geolocation. 3. According to the lesson, what is a key benefit of using Google Forms for data collection compared to traditional paper surveys? A, it provides more technical expertise to set up and use. B, data is collected and stored in physical formats for easy access. C, automatic data collection in Google Sheets eliminates manual entry and reduces errors. Or D, sharing paper surveys is simpler and reaches a wider audience. 4. In the context of this lesson, what does KMZ stand for? A, Key Map Zone. B, Knowledge Management Zone. C, Keyhole Markup Zip. D, Keyhole Markup Language.